Two soldiers, just two. You might think this is a joke. You might think, how can two people stop the most powerful military machine in human history? But do not let the number fool you. These aren't just soldiers, they are a human tripwire. Right now, as we speak, a geopolitical earthquake is happening in the frozen north that could shatter the NATO alliance forever. While the media is laughing at memes about dog sleds, the Pentagon is not laughing. The White House is not laughing. Because Norway, a founding member of NATO, has just placed 2 military personnel on the icy shores of Greenland. And they are not there to fight Russia. They are not there to fight China. They are there to send a silent, terrifying message to the United States of America. What happens if a U.S. Marine under orders to secure the Golden Dome missile shield crosses a line and meets a Norwegian soldier? Does Article 5 trigger against America itself? We are standing on the edge of the unthinkable. By the end of this video, you will understand why these 2 soldiers might just be the most dangerous people on the planet right now, and why the Golden Dome project might just cost America its oldest friends. Let's dive deep. Welcome back. Today, we need to talk about the headline that sounds like fiction, but is the cold, hard reality of January 2026. Norway to send 2 military personnel to Greenland. On the surface, it sounds insignificant. 2 people in a territory that is over 2 million square kilometers? It sounds like a clerical error. But in the world of high-stakes geopolitics, symbols matter more than battalions. Let's look at the map. This is not about a vacation. This is a direct response to the escalation we've seen over the last 48 hours from Washington. We know that the president has doubled down on the idea that Greenland is vital for national security. We've seen the tweets mocking Denmark's defense, saying 2 dog sleds won't do it. The implication was clear. If Denmark cannot defend Greenland from Russia or China, the US will step in and take over. But here's where the plot twists. Europe hasn't blinked. Instead of backing down, they're rushing in. It's not just Norway. We have reports that Sweden is moving officers. France is watching. Denmark is beefing up its Arctic endurance operation. Why? Because they're creating a human shield of NATO allies. Think about the strategy here. It's brilliant and terrifying. If the US decides to act unilaterally to secure the Golden Dome project, they won't just be pushing aside Danish police. They'll have to physically push aside Norwegian soldiers, Swedish officers, and potentially French assets. It turns a bilateral dispute into a war against all of Europe. That is the power of the 2-soldier move. It's a tripwire. If you touch them, they trigger the alarm for the entire continent. But why now? Why 2026 is the breaking point? To understand this, we have to look at what is buried under the ice. This is not about buying real estate. The media keeps talking about a purchase, comparing it to the Louisiana Purchase or Alaska. That is the surface-level story. The deep game is about 2 things: the Golden Dome and rare earth elements. First, the Golden Dome. The administration has made it clear they're building a massive, multi-layered missile defense shield. Look at the globe from the top down. If Russia or China launches a hypersonic missile to New York City or Washington, D.C., the shortest path is not across the Atlantic, it's over the North Pole. It goes right over Greenland. Greenland is the goalkeeper. If you control Greenland, you can station the radar, the interpreters, and the tracking systems to shoot down those missiles before they even reach Canada. The U.S. already has Thule Air Base, now called Pitchafix Space Base. It's vital, but the U.S. wants more than just access. They want ownership. Why? Because access can be revoked. Ownership is forever. The administration argues that Denmark is too small to protect this asset. They're saying, look, if World War III starts, Copenhagen cannot stop a Spetsnaz team from taking this island. Only we can. And from a pure hard power American perspective, they're not wrong. Denmark has no aircraft carrier. They have a limited navy. The U.S. views Greenland as a massive, undefended backdoor into the American homeland. But then there's the second factor: the minerals. We're in a tech war with China. Everyone knows this. Your F-35 fighter jets, your electric vehicle batteries, your quantum computers, they all run on rare earth elements. Right now, China controls the vast majority of that supply chain. Guess who has the largest undeveloped deposits of these minerals outside of China? Greenland. For years, Chinese companies have been trying to buy mines in Greenland. The US blocked them, but blocking isn't enough anymore. The fear in Washington is that as the ice melts, Greenland becomes accessible. If it becomes independent, which is a real possibility, a small independent nation of 56,000 people could easily be economically captured by Beijing. $1 billion from China is pocket change for Beijing, but it would buy the entire Greenlandic economy 10 times over. So the American logic is, we cannot risk this strategic asset falling into enemy hands. We must secure it. But here's the tragedy. In trying to secure it, we're alienating the very people who have helped us for 70 years. Let's look at the European perspective. Why is Norway getting involved? Norway shares a border with Russia. They understand the Arctic better than anyone. They know that if the US starts grabbing territory, it legitimizes Russia doing the same. If the US says, we need this for security, so we're taking it, what stops Putin from saying, I need northern Finland for security, so I'm taking it? The entire post-World War II order is built on the idea that borders are fixed. You can't just buy people or conquer territory. By sending 2 soldiers, Norway is saying, we're watching, we're present. This is NATO territory, not free real estate. The irony is thick. NATO was created to protect Europe from the Soviet Union. Now, European members of NATO are deploying troops to protect a European territory from the US. It's a diplomatic nightmare. And consider the dog sled comment. It was meant to be a joke, insulting Denmark's military capacity, but it backfired. It rallied the Nordic nations together. The Arctic endurance exercise is no longer just training. It's a show of force. They're saying, we're not just dog sleds. We're advanced modern militaries, and we stand together. So what happens next? We have a few scenarios. Scenario 1, diplomacy prevails. The US backs down from the ownership demand and settles for a long-term lease or a joint protectorate. This is the rational outcome. The US gets its missile shield, Denmark keeps its sovereignty, and everyone saves face. Scenario 2, economic pressure. The US could sanction Denmark or Greenland to force a sale, which would be catastrophic for the Western economy, but we have seen tariffs used as weapons before. Scenario 3, the unthinkable. The US acts unilaterally to secure the Golden Dome sites, ignoring Danish protests. This is where those 2 Norwegian soldiers come in. If US forces land and are told to stop by a Norwegian ally, do they push past? Do they arrest them? It would create the biggest crisis in NATO history since the Suez Crisis of 1956. And while we fight amongst ourselves, look at who's celebrating: Moscow and Beijing. Every headline about a NATO fracture is a victory for them. They don't need to fire a shot. They just need to watch us tear our own alliance apart over an island of ice. The reality is, the Arctic is heating up, literally and politically. The ice is melting, opening up new shipping lanes that will rival the Suez Canal. The world is changing. The map is being redrawn. Norway sending 2 soldiers is a small move on the chessboard, but it blocks a checkmate. It forces the US to pause. It forces a conversation. It reminds the US that you cannot simply bulldoze your friends, even if you're a superpower. We'll keep tracking this. The situation is fluid. If more troops arrive, or if the US issues an ultimatum, the world changes overnight. What do you think? Is the US justified in demanding control of Greenland for national security, or is Europe right to draw a line in the snow? I'll see you in the next one.